Welcome to the Penthouse Frequency. I'm your host, Carla Elizondo, licensed psychotherapist and mindset coach. Here we explore personal development, spiritual awareness, emotional sobriety, and the tools that help you regulate so you can live from the inside out. We're not here to bypass life. We're here to alchemize it. No more basement thinking and feeling. It's all about the penthouse, baby. Let's dive in. Welcome back to episode 2. So happy to have you back. We're going to dive right in. This episode is all about emotional sobriety. I'm calling it Emotional Sobriety 101. I'm going to read some notes of what emotional sobriety is, why it's important to me, and how it can help you in your life. Let me tell you, emotional belligerency is rampant right now. And honestly, it always has been. Like, your ability to regulate your emotions is the difference between if you're going to succeed or not. I mean, how much chaos do we see in this world? And what is chaos collectively? It's like individuals who are dysregulated. If you have a dysregulated nervous system, it's not sustainable and you cannot sustain anything successfully for a long period of time. I do not care. Come at me, bro. Look at anybody who is truly successful from the inside out, who is peaceful, not only outwardly if they want to chase goals and, achieve dreams and stuff. Like, how many of those people are truly at peace within? It's not common. And we are seeing the destruction of people who aren't even going after their goals, just absolutely belligerent, angry, upset. And if you can relate, again, we're human. We're not here to be like some, perfect beings, because nobody is. We're always learning and growing. So this is to just recognize in ourselves through this episode, like, where do we lose it? Where do we become belligerent with our emotions and our thoughts? Rather, as we learned in the first episode, that our thoughts create our emotions. So emotional belligerency is caused by belligerent thoughts, really low-level thoughts. Every single thought you have has a side effect. It's just like medication, my friends. Your thoughts are either medicine or poison, and your body will react depending on what you're thinking. So let's dive into emotional sobriety. And the opposite of sobriety, which I like to call, is belligerency, because that's what it really is. Think about alcohol. So I like to parallel our thoughts with like an ABV. Like, every single thought you have has a certain alcohol by volume. You know how you have certain drinks and you look at the ABV of like beer or something and it's like 4% ABV. And then a glass of wine has like 14 or 15% ABV. And then, hard liquor has like 50% and up, 100 proof alcohol by volume. Geez, I've been there. Anyways, so let's talk about the thoughts that keep us sober and calm and centered and grounded, and the thoughts that make us fall off our center, make us stumble and fall, metaphorically and physically sometimes. We just lose it. We are belligerent. So I'm going to read some of my notes on what emotional sobriety is, okay? So emotional sobriety is the ability to experience emotions without being ruled by them. I'm going to read that again. Emotional sobriety is the ability to experience emotions without being ruled by them. And this is really important because it's not about not feeling emotions. Like, we experience all sorts of emotions from the penthouse to the basement and everywhere in between. And it's okay because we're human. Life happens, things out of our control happen, and we will feel certain emotions. But how long are we staying there? Are we perpetuating it by getting emotionally involved and gossiping about it and talking about it and, surrounding ourselves with TV shows that, reproduce it or music or, it's like, what accounts do we follow on social media? So let me start over. And I'm not going to edit these episodes, by the way, so you are going to get it full and raw. So emotional sobriety is the ability to experience our emotions, no matter what they are, without being ruled by them, good or bad, by the way. Okay, because people can get belligerent off of like highs. People who have like addictions to relationships, like sex and love addicts anonymous. Like, people have addictions to that high, and then they date people and they feel so high in love, and then that goes away, because it's that certain period of getting to know someone, and then they think the spark leaves, and then they jump to the next person, and they just are addicted to that high feeling. It's a good feeling, but they're addicted to it, and they're belligerent off of it. They're drunk in love, as Beyonce would say. But usually we experience this with negative emotions. We let them rule us. Anger, frustration, sadness, right? At times. So Emotional sobriety is the ability to experience our emotions without being ruled by them. So it's when your nervous system is regulated enough that your feelings just pass through you instead of running your life. We will experience the waves of all sorts of things throughout the day, but are we allowing them to dictate and rule our new thoughts, our new emotions, and our new behavior? Okay. An emotionally sober person does not suppress emotion, analyze it to death, or act out of impulsivity. Okay. They don't act impulsively. So an emotionally sober person does not suppress their emotions. They're not some, stoic zombie. I consider myself, for the most part, emotionally sober, and I think that I am very entertaining and funny. And a lot of people that know me would say the same thing. But that wasn't always the case. I was extremely emotionally belligerent, especially when I was in my physical addiction of alcohol. So, and on this podcast, I'm going to repeat things because my mentor, Bob Proctor, one of my greatest teachers, taught me that repetition is the mother of all learning. I mean, a lot of the greats have said that, but I not only repeat it for myself, but it's important for you. So if you hear me repeat things, it's on purpose. It's for us to really understand it. Okay. So an emotionally sober person does not suppress their emotions, analyze it to death, or act out of impulsivity. Act out impulsively, rather. Even that, analyzing things to death. Hello, rumination, talking to our girlfriends, our neighbors, our family, our friends, our sisters about it. And that was another thing. I think I mentioned this in the first episode about venting. I used to think venting was really good, and it has its place. But venting to somebody is like taking a hot potato. It's like you feel on fire with something and you just want to let off the steam. You want to call your friend and be like, I just need to vent about this person. And basically you're taking that hot potato, the anger that you feel, and you're just throwing it at your friend. But then it ends up like a boomerang back at you and nothing is accomplished because you are just putting gasoline on that fire of anger or whatever it is. And you might feel good in the moment. Like you might feel good like, oh, I got that off my chest, but you really didn't. You really didn't. And so I learned this years ago when I was, in my studying for my master's in psychology. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought venting was good. I thought like calling my girlfriends or my mom or somebody and being like, really it's just like making the bonfire bigger. And in the moment, it's like that temporary fix. And it just gets buried in my subconscious mind, fully full of emotion. And I never really get to the root cause and alchemize it, basically. Okay, so analyzing our emotions, acting impulsively, venting even is not the healthiest thing. Even after, say we do vent, after it's like, okay, now that I got that off my chest, how can I reframe this? Like you can do it with your friends or your family or whoever you're venting to. I'm using air quotes. Because it's like taking out the garbage. Like, have you ever had somebody like, what is it? They dump on you, emotionally dump. They take out the trash and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. It's like, I don't want your trash, girl. Like, you're responsible for healing this, right? So anyways, yes, of course, we love to talk with our friends and tell them and get it off our mind. But like, really watch yourself. Why am I doing this? Do I really feel better? Am I willing to reframe it after I, shared it and got it off of my chest? Okay. And do we do the same for our friends? Do we listen to them as well? We don't want to be that friend who's always just venting and trauma dumping on other people, or stress dumping. So don't analyze it. Don't act impulsively. So emotionally sober people can feel fear without panicking, right? We can feel that fear without losing our poo. I always use the example of like getting a flat tire when I was late to my niece's party. And I'm like, oh my God, right? I didn't at first, but the thought came, are you kidding me? I'm going to be late. And I relaxed. And I said, you know what? I'm grateful that I am safe. I'm grateful that I could pull on the side of the freeway. I'm grateful I didn't get in a car crash. I'm grateful that I have insurance or I have AAA or whatever. And I'm just going to relax. And I think I ended up listening to a podcast or I did something. I remember sitting there. I had to pull off. He towed me to a gas station or something. And anyways, it was very uneventful. And I ended up barely late to her party. And I didn't even talk about it. Like I didn't say, oh my God, I got a flat tire, everybody. And like, I didn't want to relive it. I didn't want to give it any energy, attention, or focus. And I let it go. I breathed in the moment. I wasn't bypassing it. I wasn't like ignoring it like a bliss ninny. I was like, okay, we got a flat tire. What are we going to do about it? It happens. It doesn't mean that it's an omen, that it's bad luck, it's bad karma. Oh, what did I do to deserve this? No, nope. I'm not going to go there. So I'm not going to like panic or make a mountain out of a molehill. And so we can also feel big emotions like desire. We can really want something without clinging and being so attached to it. We can also feel big emotions like anger, right? When we feel angry with something, we can look at it as the feedback it is. Like, why am I angry? Was there a boundary crossed? Was I disrespected in some way? Was there something that I didn't communicate clearly, or somebody who was belligerent towards me in the way they communicated? So we can feel that anger without being destructive, without throwing it back, okay, without reacting. We can respond. We can feel angry, but we don't have to be destructive. And we can also feel sadness without totally shutting down and collapsing. We might at times, again, this is not to make ourselves feel bad for however we react. It's just about bringing more awareness that we can have big emotions, all kinds of emotions, good and bad, without having big reactions or having it be the end of the world or, letting it define us or our day. So emotions can just become the information that they are rather than commands. Do not let your emotions, don't become a little B word to your emotions. Your emotions do not dictate how you're going to be. You dictate your emotions by your thoughts. And if there's an emotion that does not feel good, you can change it by thinking a new thought, reframing it. Again, not to deny it. We feel the way we feel for a reason. It's just feedback. Our emotions are just feedback to what we're thinking. Most of the time, we're not aware of what we're thinking. We are not consciously aware of what we're thinking. I actually did a post about CBT. Well, actually, it was just a little clip I had reposted on one of my socials about CBT, like the cognitive behavioral model. Like, we think, we feel, we act, and we get results. And somebody had commented, I don't think it's that easy. It's not that simple. You should read The Body Keeps a Score by Besser Vanderkolk. And I was like, I don't think this person knew that I was a therapist, and I'm very familiar with The Body Keeps a Score. And really with that you can call that book The Subconscious Mind Keeps the Score, because your body is your subconscious mind. And so I still need to do a video response to her and being like, girl, you're right. It's not that simple. I was talking about CBT here, and it's true for what I was talking about. But most of the things that cause us trouble are in the subconscious mind. We are not consciously aware of the thoughts we're thinking that are creating our feelings. And that's why this work is so important. Okay? Sorry, side note. Anyways, so our emotions are just feedback from what we're thinking. And if we're not consciously aware, like, Carla, I don't know. I swear I'm feeling so anxious and I'm feeling upset. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking anything. I swear. I've been blah, blah, blah. It's okay, fine. Dig into the emotion. Sit with the emotion that you're feeling. Now, once you're feeling it, if that thought could speak, what would it say? And you got to get quiet, at least for a second, to tune in. And that takes work. And that's why most people don't do it. Number one, not because we're lazy. We just, we're not taught this. So now that you know, try it. When you're feeling a certain way, and again, I think we did in the first episode, we took a little moment to check in. And so we can do that again. I always want to include some mindfulness moments in these episodes. So let's do it right now. I want you to think about just tuning into your body. Is there anything that you feel unstable about emotionally in your life? Is there something bothering you? Even if it's minor. Is there somebody, something, a situation, an area of your life, something with yourself that you feel a little funkiness around? You've been putting off? You've been avoiding emotionally? Just take a deep breath. I want you to think about that right now. Just feel it in your body. Just feel anywhere where you feel a little bit of a disturbance in the force. Even if it's just you haven't been getting good sleep. Maybe you don't even know. You're like, Carla, I don't know. I've just been feeling funky. Okay, just tune into that. Okay, I'm coming in hot here. I already recorded this episode. I said I wouldn't edit it, but I was just listening back. And while we're doing this exercise, also tune in to, if your physical body is feeling a certain way, ask yourself, have I had too much caffeine? And I think I touch on that a little later in the episode. Have I not been getting sleep? Have I been eating too much sugar? Am I eating too many simple carbs? Like, just pay attention to other things that might be causing your feelings or emotions, which are leading to more thoughts. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And just ask yourself, what is this about? If there's something in my life right now that is unsettling, even in the slightest way, what is it? Is it one of my relationships? Is it work? Is it a task I've been putting off? Is it my health? Have I been procrastinating, avoiding, doing something I know I shouldn't be doing, not doing something I know I should? Just notice. Remember to breathe. And it's that simple. That simple. So just tuning in, because how you feel is just feedback to what's going on, what you're thinking. And if you're not aware consciously, what we just did is tuning in subconsciously, and give yourself grace. All right. So, I often teach people that relapse, when we can relapse, it's not just on substances. Right now that I'm physically sober, I definitely can relapse with thoughts. I can get real irritated, real angry, especially like certain times of the month, if you know what I mean, ladies. My window of tolerance can shrink. I have like no bandwidth. My circuits are short. I have no straws left. The straw that broke a camel's back is broken. They ain't no more straws. Your girl is on the ground already. No more straws to give, okay? I relapse emotionally. I can lose it, just inside. And sometimes outside, like it's very rare. It's usually with family, you know who you are. They get under your skin like nobody else. But, they're just those moments of the biggest relationships in your life are the most triggering. And the ones we do the most work around, they're the most healing. And I'll share stories in the future about how I have alchemized. And miracles happen. My God, miracles happen in those relationships that you think are unsalvageable. Another episode on that. But so relapse is not just you started smoking again or drinking again or watching the pornography again or whatever. It's emotional first, because the physical substances and the physical addictions or behaviors are not the problem. Those are the solutions to the problem. We do those things because we're feeling a certain way. We have an urge. We have an impulse to do that. What's the word that's skipping my mind when we have not urges, not impulses? Wow. I'm sure you're yelling it at me over this podcast. Okay, coming in hot on the replay. That I don't know why I thought it was another word, but maybe craving. I don't know. But urge, usually when you have like the urge to drink or urge to use, like a compulsion to do something, an urge, a craving. Those were the words. Anyways, when we have those urges to relapse physically, it's because we are feeling a certain way. And the real root of the relapse is our thoughts, is our emotions. We want to avoid, escape, feel better, or it's just become a habit. But the relapse really starts within. Before a person actually relapses, they relapsed weeks before in their thoughts, in their emotions, in their vibration. And then it's like, that's why it's so important for people who are physically sober to get emotionally sober. And they say that in the recovery rooms. It's like, now that you're physically sober, let's work on your emotional and spiritual sobriety, keeping yourself clean within so that you don't feel so emotionally, dysregulated that you just want to reach, you just want to scratch that itch with your addiction, Okay, so relapses are not just in substances, but they're in our old identities. They're in our old thought patterns, judgments, criticisms, gossiping, right? If you are kind of over gossiping, maybe you're around a certain group of friends that like you relapse on gossiping. Maybe you just go back when you visit your family and you start talking crap on other people or judging other people or fighting, right? Or being angry, like you relapse on anger the moment you get around your family. So we can relapse on old stories, old reactions. I hear that a lot with my clients. Like they're like, especially around the holidays, they're like, I was doing so good, Carla, and I went home for Thanksgiving and I lost my shit. There goes the whole year of therapy. I mean, it's real, right? We just fall back. It's like we fall off the wagon. We fall off the beam, so to speak. So emotional sobriety is freedom from that relapse cycle for the most part. Emotional sobriety is the freedom from that relapse. So it's when we stop self-medicating with drama, distractions, validation, overthinking, chaos. Money stress is huge. A lot of us are belligerent and addicted to stressing out over money, scarcity. We're addicted to that scarcity, lack mentality. When we're overthinking, we're just medicating with relationships, spiritual fantasies. So from a nervous system and subconscious standpoint, when we're looking at our nervous system and our body, which is our subconscious mind, emotional sobriety means the body feels safe enough to stay present. We don't have to distract or escape. So when it comes to feeling safe in our bodies and our nervous system and our subconscious mind, which is our body, emotional sobriety just means we feel safe to stay in the present moment right here, right now, doing an activity like I just did a couple minutes ago with you. Like just be quiet, tune into your body. What are you feeling? Where are you dysregulated? When the body is regulated, so when our physical body feels regulated, meaning we're in a regulated state, we are in a parasympathetic nervous system, meaning like rest, digest, rest and relaxing, as opposed to a sympathetic nervous state. When our body, I always remember sympathetic versus parasympathetic as the sympathetic nervous system, which most people are in, it feels sorry for us. Like our nervous system has sympathy for us. It's like on high alert trying to protect us. And we're not regulated. We're dysregulated when we're in a sympathetic state. We are hypervigilant. We are quite literally not relaxed. It's like that guard is fully at the gates waiting for something bad to happen. It can't relax. It can't rest. And that's when we literally can't digest either. Like we have stomach problems. We have like irritable bowel symptoms. I mean, not fully diagnosed with IBS, but a lot of people with IBS have, psychological worries and problems and anxiety and chronic stress that manifests in the physical body. So when our body is regulated, our mind just becomes clear. And when our mind is clear, we can make better choices, think better thoughts, feel better feelings, take better actions, and get better results. And so when we have better choices available, our whole life changes because our life is just a culmination of the choices we make. And if we're making choices from a dysregulated state, our life is dysregulated. And the opposite, is true. That's why this is so important. I think emotional sobriety is such an important idea to get and to understand how it plays out in your life. What areas, what throws you off? Like if maybe you've never drank or did drugs, right? But it's like when you feel you're not in control. If you have ever enjoyed a night out or had a nightmare of a night out and you just drink way too much and you wake up in the next morning, you're like, what the hell happened? I blacked out. Or I don't remember, or you see photos, you're like, oh my God, I don't even remember that, or you do things you wouldn't normally do. That's what happens when you're in an argument, when you're so angry, you're yelling at someone, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I didn't really mean that. Like you blacked out emotionally, and you do things you wouldn't normally do. It's like when you go to the work Christmas party and like, sweet Susie over there has a couple, too many vodka Sprites, and she's like dancing on the table and goes home and sleeps with the computer IT guy, and she's like so mortified. It's like she wouldn't normally do that. The alcohol was the factor. She was belligerent. She was not in her right mind. And on a side note, people say like, "Oh, the truth comes out when you're drinking." No, it doesn't. I was afraid to say that for a long time. Like, no, it fucking doesn't. I felt so guilty. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a monster. Like the truth comes out when I'm drunk. I'm such a mean person. No, what comes out, what is exacerbated is your subconscious psychological state. And I was riddled with anxiety and fear. And yeah, that would turn up when I drank, but that's not who I was. That was just like reveals what's going on in my subconscious mind. So instead of like the truth comes out when you're drunk, it's really like your subconscious mind is revealed. And your mind is revealed like all the fears you have when you're angry too. So I hope you're picking up the metaphors I'm putting down. So from a nervous system and our subconscious body standpoint, when we have a more clear mind, we can make clear choices. And when we have a very chaotic mind, we make chaotic choices in our life. Shows, the fruits, by their fruits, you'll know them. Okay. So when we're talking about this penthouse metaphor, emotional sobriety is living from the penthouse instead of the basement, baby. And of course, there's a lot of nuance in between, but just for the sake of understanding, like we're either sober, right, in the penthouse with clean, fresh air, clean, fresh thoughts, clean, fresh emotions, or we are in the basement with dark, dank, stanky, funky, angry, nasty thoughts and feelings and behaviors and actions and results. And, we know where we dwell most of the time. So when we're in the basement, we're very reactive. And when we're in the penthouse, we respond. And when we're in the basement, that's where we do drugs, emotional drugs. That's where we gossip. That's where we're angry. That's where we judge ourselves and others. We hate people. We judge people from the basement. It's dark. Nobody could see us. We like to gossip down there. But in the penthouse, it's nice and airy and light. And people don't gossip in the penthouse. They're just happy to be there. They're just sipping their tea, enjoying the view, or their champagne. Some people can drink. But it's like, think about it. The basement, we want to hide out. We seek relief. And the penthouse, we just feel so good in our power. We don't need anything else. And also when we're in the basement, we're more compulsive, right? We just feel compulsive. We're reactive again. And when we're in the penthouse, we are more intentional, deliberate, because we're not rushed. We feel abundant. There's no pressure. We trust ourselves. But when we're in those lower vibrations, those lower feelings of fear, we're very like, everything's urgent. We have a lot of fear. We're going to miss out, FOMO, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't feel good. And so when it comes, especially emotional sobriety, by the way, this might be like a 3-part series because I'm going to go over my whole presentation on emotional sobriety. I usually do it in slides. I don't know if I'll do a YouTube video on it. I might, but it's like an hour. So these episodes are going to be like 30 minutes. So I'm probably going to break this up. But emotional sobriety is necessary for manifestation and achieving your goals, period. Really, that's what everybody is saying. And if they're not, they don't understand it yet. There's different levels. And by the way, anything I say, it doesn't mean that it's the right way. It's just the way that I personally, it works for me. If it doesn't resonate with you, but more power to you. I never say that I claim I have the right way. I don't think anybody does. I think it's different for everybody, but I am just sharing what has worked for me and people that I work with and listening to hundreds and thousands of people, thousands for sure. I've had thousands of clients working on different areas of their life, not just therapeutically, but life coaching, working on goals, achieving breakthroughs, milestones, all that kind of stuff, changing their story about themselves, changing their life. And so when you want to manifest and improve your life, at that law of attraction, you ain't attracting nothing when you be emotionally belligerent, when you're a mess, when you're in the basement. No deliveries are delivered to the basement. Let me tell you that right now. You already know that. So from a manifestation lens, emotional sobriety, it's what makes your creation possible. You cannot create or manifest or attract anything permanently and consistently. It might be a one-off, but then you're back to worry and fear and you lose it and you sabotage it and it leaves. It's like that feast and famine. But if you really want to manifest consistently and feel so good and powerful, you got to be emotionally sober. When you get your emotions regulated and your thoughts regulated, you have to get your thoughts regulated before you get your emotions regulated. It's about thoughts, emotional sobriety, mental sobriety. You have to do that first. You don't have to do anything, but if you want better results, you got to come from it's like, think about somebody who is completely sober physically, and then somebody who is a belligerent, drunk, stumbling mess. Like, who do you think is going to win a race? I mean, it's laughable. Who do you think is going to win, like, any sort of game? The person who is completely focused, sober, and clear-minded, not the person who's belligerent and falling all over the place. But we do that inside, energetically. So emotional sobriety is what makes creation possible, manifestation possible. So because a dysregulated system, it sends mixed signals, period. Think about a system that is dysregulated. I'm actually doing a YouTube video this week on that, on how dysregulated systems in machines and in other places in life, other than the human body, don't work when they're dysregulated. They actually shut down. Like the whole power grid of a city shuts down when it's dysregulated, when there is fluctuations. A lot of bad things happen when there are fluctuations, dysregulation in power grids and systems and machines. We're the same way. Our physical body is wired like an electrical building. And so there's nothing different about that. So when we have a bunch of mixed signals, like I've been there, like I'm reading, all the personal development, I'm positive, I'm listening to the things, but I'm also very anxious and worried and running the old system. That's like totally dysregulated. I'm sending mixed signals. But when I'm regulated, when I'm clear, when I clean out, pull all the weed seeds, my system becomes magnetic. And that's what the law of attraction is. You're a magnet. When you are sending a clear, coherent signal, regulated, your nervous system is regulated, you attract everything. That is why when you forget about everything, you're like YOLO, you give it up. You don't think about the person you want to attract anymore. It comes right to you because you let it go. You're not clingy. You're not attached and fearful and worried about it. That's why people who are so nonchalant, they like attract everything. And you're like, that is totally not fair. But that's what's happening. There's no resistance around it. There's no fear. So it's about surrendering. It's okay to want things. But then, like Neville Goddard says, like, act as if give thanks for what's already true. Like, live from the wish fulfilled. I always show a picture, and I will describe it here because this is obviously not a video. But I have this little image. Some of you might have seen it, but it's this little stick person that is imagining a pool that they want in their backyard. So I want you to imagine that. It's a stick person. They're mad. They're frustrated. And they're dreaming about this pool that they want. They're thinking about this pool. They're thinking about something that they want. And there's like a little bubble coming out of their head, and there's a picture of them sitting in their pool. They're thinking of their pool that they want. That is thinking of what you want. Neville Goddard says, think from the wish that you want. So I have another image, picture this, of you not thinking of the pool, but thinking from the pool. And the stick person is floating in the pool with a smile on their face. Seriously, like, it sounds so cheesy, but like, that's assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The law of assumption, thinking from your wish, you're already there in your mind and in your emotions, in your thoughts, feelings, and actions. You already have the pool. What would you do if you already had a pool? You would go out, you would buy the cleaning supplies, you would buy the fun blow up, rafts for your pool. That's what hope chests were. When people bought things that they wanted, like they would buy their baby clothes before they were even pregnant. They would buy like a china plate for their wedding night, or I don't know, whatever. But that's what hope chests were. People would fill their chest with hopes of things they wanted, and it would come to them because they prepared for the life they wanted. They already lived as if they had it. They're like, you're not even pregnant. Why are you buying baby clothes? Because that's what I desire. Or whatever. Like, I want this dream car, so I'm going to buy a keychain, before I even have the car. But okay, back to our example of what I was talking about before, and it totally went out of my head. But anyways, the thinking of thinking from instead of thinking of. So the first image was somebody thinking about the pool, and the second image was thinking the person being in the pool, thinking from the pool. They're laying in the pool, looking up at the sky with the sun on their face. They could feel the water. They're in the pool already. So we are not sending mixed signals. We're not worried we're not going to get it. We're not thinking about what we want and then worried we're not going to get it. We're thinking about what we want and living and giving thanks for what we already have. Anyways, when we're regulated and we send a very powerful signal of already having it, that's when we attract things. And because we don't manifest what we want when we're emotionally chaotic. Think about emotionally chaotic people in your life. I mean, we do attract things, but they're just more chaos. You always know that person. Something's always happening to them. What a coinkydink. And you know those people who are always lucky. Coincidence as well? I think not. And if you're listening to this, you already know this. But we can't hear it enough. I can't hear it enough. We don't manifest when we're emotionally chaotic. We manifest when we are stabilized. We manifest the areas that we feel so stable and grounded and normal in. Normalize it. You don't have to conjure up the feelings and feel so good in it. It's like, if it's already true, it's like, think about something you have right now. It's like nothing to you. Not that it's nothing you're grateful for, right? But it's normal. It's your new normal. So from a therapeutic lens, emotional sobriety is when parts are no longer running the system. Oh, this is so good. So when it comes to internal family systems parts work, every emotion we have is like considered a part. At least that's the way I like to describe it. And so when it comes to IFS, internal family systems, which is a therapeutic modality, I'll have a whole episode on that. But it's really teaching that we have many internal parts. They're like our internal family. So I have many versions of Carla that dwell and live within me. There's like the little girl, the little scared little girl. There's the raging teenager. There's the addict. There's the, nice people pleaser. There's many different parts of me. And those parts can be triggered. Like, for example, when say somebody cuts me off on the freeway, a very angry part, I call her Maleficent. She's like an angry dragon who breathes fire, and she will literally burn a city down. She gets activated. My inner anger, my Maleficent, flies up with her big dragon wings and wants to burn all of the tires on the person's car who just cut me off. I'm being dramatic, but it can feel that way sometimes, especially when my window of tolerance is small and I have no more straws to give. But so say my anger, right, that emotion is a part. I'm not letting her run the show. I'm not letting her honk the horn, flip the person off. I feel it. I let it pass. I validate her. She's very valid. It's like, again, I'm not being like, oh, love and light to that person. It's like, no, man, God, I'm so disappointed. Like, what the is that person's problem? Okay, breathe. That person's behavior is none of my business. I'm grateful that we didn't get in a car accident. Or I might call the police and be like, hey, this is a license plate number. This person is driving like a maniac. I'm still going to take action and be normal, but I'm not going to allow my parts or my emotions take over and let me act out and react and make the situation worse. So the parts of us that are fearful, fear parts, scarcity parts, those wounded parts, like usually they're wounded inner child parts, our protector parts, we acknowledge them. Like I said, we acknowledge them. Like we regulate them. We say, yes, I get you. You're not going to get the steering wheel. You're not going to get my phone and text the person back right now from a dysregulated state. How can I help you? Maybe that part just wants to be heard and you're listening. You're not going to push it down or deny it. And then you're just going to breathe through it. You're going to integrate it rather than unconsciously letting that behavior drive you. So also from a spiritual lens, emotional sobriety is humility. It's being humble, being grateful, being humble and grateful, emotional sobriety. Those are like the two from like a spiritual lens that has been such a game changer for me, because the opposite of humility is pride. The opposite of gratitude is entitlement. And yeah, the opposite of humility is pride. I thought I had another word there, but when I'm just prideful and I'm not humble, I'm proud and entitled instead of humble and grateful. Nothing good comes from that. I'm spiritually belligerent when I'm in pride and I want to prove and I want to be right. And I'm not, I feel so entitled, like I'm not grateful for the simple things. I always use the example of like, we all feel very entitled to electricity. You're like, yeah, I pay the electric bill. You better believe if my power goes out, I'll be pissed. Or we're entitled to Wi-Fi, fast Wi-Fi. We've just gotten so used to it. Yes, we pay for it. Yes, we do. But like, it can go down at any moment. And how are we going to act? Are we going to act entitled, like stomp our foot, like call we can still call the internet people and say, I'm really disappointed. Can I get a refund for the month because I didn't have my Wi-Fi for 4 days or whatever? But we don't have to yell at the person, with that bad attitude and the emotional belligerency. So yeah, spiritual sobriety, being humble, being grateful. And it's just our willingness to stay awake instead of, turning off, shutting down, dissociating, and feeling like a victim. Oh, that's what it is. What did I say? Feeling like a victim. I was an entitled victim instead of a grateful, humble person. I like that about this format. I can just think and share my thoughts. So just staying awake and not falling into victimhood. It's taking responsibility for what's happening. Yes, we can very much feel like a victim at times, but like there is nothing worse than getting locked into a victim mode mentality. Okay? That's the worst. Like you cannot be helped if you fall too deep into victimhood. So just notice the part of you that feels like a victim. Validate them. Ask why they feel like a victim and like what is in your power to do. Because the opposite of being a victim is being the creator of your life. Like you are not a victim to your circumstances. You create circumstances. Like if the circumstances were brought on by someone else that wasn't in your control, okay. But now you have control over what new circumstances you want or whatever's in your power. Really, the only true victims are children who do not have like the free will or the ability to run and well, they do at times, but just from a therapeutic standpoint, I just feel like, children are so vulnerable. And when we're adults, like it sucks, but we can take accountability for a lot more things than we want to. So be the creator of your life. You are the creator of your life. Don't be a victim to the outside world. It's so easy to do and it's so tempting. So in a nutshell, emotional sobriety is just the capacity to stay self-led, being in that self-energy as we talk about in IFS. So being self-led, being regulated and grounded regardless of what's happening internally or externally. Usually the things that throw us off the most are the outside world and our thoughts about what's happening in the outside world. It's just being emotionally regulated. Emotionally sober can be interchanged with regulated, sober and regulated. It's that our life is no longer, like we don't have mood swings. If you've ever, like one time, I took birth control earlier in like my 20s, but the older I got, my body was like, oh, hell no, we do not want these. And the last time I attempted to be on birth control, I think I was like 31 or 32. I thought I was going insane. My hormones were raging. I was saying things, thinking things, doing things, acting out. It lasted for like a week. And I knew immediately, and like the person I was with, I was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it's the BC. And I got off of it immediately. My mood swings were swanging. Swanging. And I was very dysregulated. It was hormone induced. And because of that, that's also why it's important to pay attention to what you're consuming, because our mindset mostly works from the bottom up, from the top down and then the bottom up. Mostly they work from the top down, our thoughts, but it can be bottom up, like substances, right? Caffeine induced anxiety. There's been times when I had too much caffeine and I start feeling anxious, and that wasn't because of thoughts. It was because my nervous system was like going crazy. But then of course the anxious thoughts followed. So it's like a cycle. One feeds the other. So anyways, I got off of that and I was not self-led. I was not regulated. I definitely was not grounded. But, most of the time it's the stories that are running unconsciously and the stuff that we're consciously engaging in that aren't good for us. So, being emotionally sober is just our capacity to be the leader of ourself, not let those parts take over and see red. I think that people say they see red. It's like blacking out. They say things they don't want to, and then they have to apologize. It's like terrible. Or if you're too prideful, you'd be like, they deserved it, and you never want to apologize. But again, we're just bringing awareness to these behaviors. So regardless of what's happening, really living from the inside out versus the outside in. This will be part 1 of Emotional Sobriety 101. It's just about being emotionally regulated. So your life doesn't feel like it's being dragged around with the different changes and moods of the outside world. That'll be the last analogy. It's like we are all ships on the ocean and we all have our ship. Not all ships are created equal, but we're all in the same wind for sure. And we have sails. Some of them more crappy than others, but sails are sails and wind is wind. And we all are working with the same wind sometimes, right? The outside world. And depending on how we move our sails will determine how smooth the ride is. And if we are just like down below deck and we're like, I don't want to deal with it, or we're going to get tossed around, crash into rocks, and, we don't even want to put our sails up. I don't blame people. So that was just a little taster, a teaser, if you will, of emotional sobriety and how I think about it. From an emotional standpoint, personal development standpoint, therapeutic, psychological standpoint, spiritual standpoint, I want you to just think about what areas of your life make you belligerent, make you fall off the wagon, make you relapse. Maybe certain people, maybe certain accounts on social media, maybe certain comments, maybe certain political standpoints, certain religious standpoints, certain coworkers. I know for a lot of people right now in, especially the United States, just the divisiveness, especially on social media, like the news. Ooh, it makes people so belligerent. You look at those comments, it's like, are these people in touch with their own emotional reality? And like, even people you agree with, like you can see people like, you're like, yeah, I agree with you, but like, dude, you don't got to say it like that. Like, you're getting a little wild with your point of view. That's why I personally don't. I have my own thoughts on that. Maybe that can be another episode. It's like, what is the goal of sharing an emotionally belligerent point of view? Like, really, what is your goal? Do you want peace? Do you want, when it comes to our country, like, do you want us all to be harmonious? Because look at what you're saying and writing. I know it's tempting in the moment. Of course, I've wanted to say things, but like, that's just out of an emotion. But when I get sober and calm down and regulate it, it's like, what do I really want to say? How do I really want to act? That brings my outcome, my desired outcome of peace and harmony and love and understanding to the best of our ability, because we're not going to get along with everybody. And I think a lot of people, it's a hard lesson to learn. There will be people that don't agree with you, and it doesn't make them bad people. It's like, it takes work, From the beginning of time, people disagree. But it's like, can you disagree soberly? Regulated? Or, But history has shown, no, we can't. That's why we shoot and kill people and go to war. Like, it's ridiculous. And we do think, and I said this in the last episode, we are entitled. We think, oh, that can't happen to us. We're so evolved. No, we're not. Sorry. And that's why you, me, anybody listening, the more emotionally sober you are, the more help you can be. Okay? We're all human. It's okay to fly into the basement, think things, have discussions with your friends if you feel the need. But what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Okay? So this was part 1 of I don't know how many parts, but stay tuned. I'm so grateful to have you here. I love you so much. Emotional Sobriety 101. This will be a little mini series. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're listening to this on YouTube, of course, you can leave comments. Thank you for all of you guys leaving comments already. I think on Spotify, you can leave comments. I don't know if you can leave comments in iTunes, or you can always email me at info@carlaelizondo.com. That's my email, info@carlaelizondo.com. Reach out. Also, this has been long in the works. I'm going to have a community that I teach live every week. It's kind of like a group community, coaching, a little teaching, a little lab and lecture, if you will. And I'm going to have a modules, like a program. And it's a month to month. You can, join and stay for as long as you like. But it's going to be the Penthouse Frequency Community. And I believe I'm going to launch it on School. I debated. I did not want to be on School, but it's so easy. And the app is so user friendly, but that's what I'm going to start my community on, and you can be a part of it. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put a link, I think, in the show notes to the wait list. If you are interested in joining that, you don't have to join. If you hey, I'm interested in it, Carla, I want to hear more about it, you don't have to join, but at least you'll be on the list. And so I'll send you information when I launch it. So it's February 9th today. I'm looking to launch it March 2nd. So in a few weeks. So if you want some live Zoom time with me, you can ask questions and just work on whatever you're dealing with. And I'm really, really excited about that. So I'm going to stop rambling. And again, thank you for being here. Let's be emotionally sober this week. Let's pay attention to what throws us off center. And let's breathe through it and know we are in control. I'll see you in the next episode.